This is Hannibal here from HannibalTV.com. And today, my guest is a guest I've had a few times, none other than former WWE star. He's wrestled all over the world. He's Jake the Snake's brother, Rockin' Robin's brother, the ex husband of Baby Doll, who I've also interviewed a bunch of times on here. None other than Sam Houston. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm living the dream. Couldn't be more blessed. It's like I put so much hard work into the road that I've gone on. My life hasn't been easy by any means. It's not something I complain about. It's something that I can take from and help others, and that's what we were talking about. I like to help people, and you told me, yeah, so you knew, so But I just like being here and helping folks, and if I can tell you something, or give you the right advice, I'd like to.
Now, there's a title in the background there. What belt is that? Do you still hold the title?
Yeah, I just won this. I think back in December. It's the PWA U.S. Heavyweight title over there in Ohio for the Premier Wrestling Alliance. I've already had my first title defense, and actually last weekend came out the better man in it, and then cleaned everybody else's clock afterwards too. So that was unexpected, but you see somebody running at you and you do what you got to do. So I kicked a few heads in.
Yes, you're still in great shape. There's a fan on here, Trevor C, that says you never age.
Oh
What are
yeah,
some of your keys? Because it certainly wasn't how you took care of yourself for the first part of your life.
no. I gotta give all the glory, to the Almighty. Oh gosh, I should have been dead several times over, and I'm not. He's pulled me through it. I've been paralyzed, partially paralyzed twice. Once was for 9 months, once was for 6 months. I was able to get back on my feet both times, and then I was able to get back in the ring. I do watch what I eat, but I eat like a southern redneck boy, whatever. But I watch what I eat, and I guess a lot of it's from fasting, not when you want to. It's because you got to. But I don't have that problem anymore.
Now you didn't hide it. You talked about it in some of our other interviews. A big jail fight you were involved with and stuff. How
I've
was
been
the
in a
food in
couple of
jail?
them. Huh?
How was the food in jail? I gotta ask.
Horrible. Horrible.
Horrible.
Yeah, I mean, you get your tray for breakfast one morning, and still got the beans caked on from last night. Horrible conditions. People think what you see with that Oz show and stuff like that. Oh, that's how it is. No, it's not. I mean, the only stuff gets a new coat of paint only when somebody's coming around to inspect it, or that's when they try to make everything nice. Other than that, they don't care. I climbed back. I crawled back from a cockroach infested foot locker with two pairs of state underwear and a bar of soap. I made sure I was clean every day, that my area was clean. I did what I could to work on myself, and I gave it all to him. And in prison is actually where I found freedom. You know, it, it, I don't know how you could explain it, but I was walking out in the yard one day, and it was spring, and I was at a camp to where you could go outside, and we went outside one day, and there was a little flower there, and I knew when I saw that flower there, I looked up in the sky and everything, and I was like, wow. I'm over my addiction. I'm over. I was over all the physical cravings, urges, everything else that I had battled with for addiction for so long.
Yeah, I remember I've been in jail for a night probably 3 or 4 times just from roughhousing and stuff. But I remember I was so hungry one morning and they like threw me one muffin, and the muffin was so stale.
But yeah, you'll eat it. I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
When you get hungry, you'll eat anything. I mean, I've found this out in my travels all over the world, and then being locked up. It doesn't take long. You miss a couple of meals, I mean, and you're ready to go. The A Meat jail, which was the last joust I did back in 2019. I was trying to make it back to Louisiana because I thought the big old mess up in parole. And I was trying to go back to get my paperwork done, and somebody called and said I was in the state, and got me before I made it back to Louisiana that day. So it cost me 11 months, but God puts you there for a reason. And May the 19th, 2019 was the reason he put me there for. Three guys jumped on this fella, Chad Milton. He was the contractor for the television show Louisiana Flip and Move. And I had just had a Bible study, and three guys jumped on him. By the time I got there, they'd stabbed him, broke his nose, his eye sockets, his cheekbones, his jaw. Like, as I said, they'd stabbed him and fractured his skull. And then I had to get involved and get him out of there. It took an hour and 40 minutes to get anybody in there to help, to come look at him medically. They came back 4 times to my cell to try to get through me to get to him, and they couldn't do it. I'm no hero. I was there. I did what I needed to do at the time. I saved that boy's life. That got me moved to the chapel, where I got to spend 6 months working at the hospital, their Lolly Kemp Hospital in Independence, Louisiana, and doing a heck of a job there. But I got meals, hospital meals. The Sarge would pick me up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. Therefore, I got to eat breakfast and lunch there at the hospital, the cafeteria there. And then because I did a good job, they started letting me work from 6 in the morning till 10 at night. And then I was getting all my meals there. It was really cool.
There is a fan on here, Sam, that wants to know what your WrestleMania 4 experience was like. You were in the Battle Royal, the Bad News Brown one.
Yeah, it was great. WrestleMania was fun. It's funny that you say it because I was the other day. Oh gosh, my wife had won a guitar a while back that Bret Michaels had played in concert, and then they raffled it off, and my wife had won the guitar. So we actually gave the guitar back to the fella that owned it, that Bret Michaels played his guitar, but they needed to raise some money. So they auctioned off the guitar. Well, we were able to give it back to the musician Michael Tracy that had the guitar in the first place. But before we gave it back, I had to, I had to play one song. So I played a song on a guitar that Bret Michaels played. But WrestleMania 4 was really cool because Vince brought he had all the stars in from Hollywood and this, that, the other. And I remember running away Liberace when he came. The wrestlers were getting dressed on the stage at Trump Towers, or the curtain, and Liberace come in there and looked at me and saw me and started coming up. Dude, I took off running.
That's funny.
It was. Oh, I had a great time though. I look at tapes now and I was like, wow, I think I was on Ron Bass's shoulders or something like that. I don't remember anymore. I just do know that back then we didn't have that big thick mat, so when you hit concrete, you hit concrete.
Yeah, I remember seeing one of your matches where you hit the concrete. I think it was Best of the WWE Volume 17, and Billy Graham was commenting, and he kept calling the cement. And that out to me. You fought the Big Boss Man, actually. Your match on that tape was against Big Boss Man from Philadelphia.
Yeah, me and Boss Man had some great matches. But I can't find them. I found 2 of them on Video Daily Motion or something like that, but everything had been taken off of YouTube. And I was wondering why, because they were awesome matches. But Billy, when he was doing that match, one of the things you don't know, I hit the ground one time, and when I looked at him, I had my eyes crossed, and I looked. I was trying to crack him up. Huh. I did, huh. Yeah,
Yeah, because you were crawling on him because he was commentating on the outside, I believe.
yeah. But Billy, what a man, what a guy. And I've seen Billy and known about Billy and everything, been around the business all my life. But I've known Billy since I was a youngster, and then the Great American Bash. Wow, what a favor he did. There's nothing like it. Yeah. Wow, it's just and then our paths cross again and for Vince, and he's a commentator up there. I always have the greatest respect for superstar Billy Graham.
What did he do at the Great American Bash?
I pinned him in the 6-man tag match.
Oh, wow.
It was me,
What
Manny,
year was that?
85. Me, Manny
Wow.
Fernandez. It was the first one. Me, Manny Fernandez, and Buzz Avalanche Tyler against the Barbarian, Abdullah the Butcher, and superstar Billy Graham. And I took an the ass whipping of my life for, I guess, about, I don't know, 8 minutes or so. Abdullah the Butcher was just a big bowling ball running over me, knocking me out of the barricade, into ringside, back over the barricade. Oh, I had grass burns all over.
Well, you know what? I am friends with Billy, and he might see this. So, you have anything to say to him?
Yeah, Billy Graham, you're one of the best, man. You got nothing but oh gosh, you've got my highest respect, sir. I've known you a long time, and it's definitely been my pleasure and honor. And hey, every time we got in the ring and worked, what a night off! Billy Graham was he was awesome. He was awesome. He was every bit of a world champion. He was the world champion. He's every bit deserving of any highest accolade we can give him.
One thing I've heard about Billy Graham, for the fans that only know him from some of the controversies he's had, but as far as the lower card wrestlers and mid card wrestlers, I've always heard as a champion he had no ego, and he would treat everyone on the card the same, no matter what level they were at.
Oh yeah, he was great. Back then we had, I don't know if you call it decorum or what, etiquette, or watch the guys now. The guys walk in the dressing room and stuff, and they all get in their little huddles or this one or that. Used to, you walk in the dressing room and you go to each guy, and you introduce yourself or you shake hands. You say, and you go to each and every one. Well, Billy always, he had words for everybody, from the world champion all the way down to the first match on the card, and everything was brother, and you were all brothers. That's what's so great about Billy.
I think he invented the brother thing in wrestling, and he also invented the superstar for wrestling.
Oh yeah, and I saw, and I like Jesse and stuff like that, Bob Slaughter, but it was kind of like they were all trying to copy Billy. Sergeant Slaughter, I don't know, your fans may not know this, but he came down to Louisiana, and down there he came in as Bob Slaughter, and he had the tie-dye tights and the bleach blonde hair. So a lot of people have done that kind of thing.
Very interesting. Now, there's a fan on here that wants to know your thoughts on working with One Man Gang, aka Akeem, who I've got a ton of interviews with on this channel.
He's great. I wrestled him all over the world. I wrestled him here in the States. I wrestled him for all different organizations, from Bill Watts to Crockett to Vince to, the groups out of Texas, Yatsu's group over in Japan. The man knows what to do in the ring. He really does. People try to talk about the best big man in the business. Well, yeah, there's a lot of good big men in the business, and Gang definitely is one of them. I can't exclude people, but I can't tell you who the best would be, because if it's going to be the biggest, the baddest, the best, or whoever made the most money.
Here is an interesting question from Car George 95. Have you ever wrestled your brother Jake in a wrestling match?
No, the only thing we were in a 6-man tag one time together, but we've never wrestled against each other. We were together in a couple of battle royals and stuff. My first battle royal in Madison Square Garden, he pulled a rib on me and got 2 molars knocked out. But other than that, no.
What was the worst injury you ever had in the ring?
Probably ruptured disc in my neck. I woke up the next morning, I was paralyzed. I got C4 through C6 over the years have fused together. I didn't have the money for the surgery. This doctor out in California started working on me and got me back going. And then I was out there, and the Northridge earthquake hit, and I was hurt again. And after that, he got me back on my feet going again. And then I flew to Atlanta to visit with my dad, and he ended up having to have emergency surgery. And when I got him out of the hospital, I ran into Charlie Norris, and Charlie was the one that got me back in the ring. But I was paralyzed, partially paralyzed, the left side of my body.
And those were the days before they had medics backstage.
Oh yeah, but it was for WCW. I wrestled Gang, Gang and Sullivan in Roanoke, Virginia. I don't know. I got hit in the back of the head with a tire iron, but also Gang throws these clubbing forearms in the back of your head and stuff. And I don't know if it was that or if it was the tire iron, or it might have been. I took a bump off the apron flat out and put my arms out like that to try to catch myself on the concrete. And that might have been what jarred my shoulder to separate the shoulder into that. I don't know. All I know is I was hurt the next day. Dr. Aswanek told me that it would cost $27,000 for the surgery. The next day, WCW gave me a release, my release papers.
How long were you in WCW for?
Oh gosh, not long in '91. I had just left Vince and gone back to WCW. So it wasn't long, maybe just a few months, and I was paralyzed. And then I was in LA for a while. I did some stuff with Global. I was trying to get back on my feet, get back, doing things. And then I came to Atlanta and started working out with Charlie in the ring. And after about 3 months of working out in the ring every day for 2 to 3 hours a day at that power plant, he said, you need to be back in there. And I told him my career was over. And he said, dude, I'm giving you everything I got when we're in the ring. And he goes, I'm 60 pounds heavier and 3 inches taller. He goes, I can't do a damn thing with you. You need to be back in there. So we talked about it. And whenever he left WCW and all that stuff happened, we hooked up and started wrestling in Texas, Minnesota, overseas. I was almost eaten by cannibals twice in New Guinea.
How, are you serious?
Yeah. When we got there, I thought I was in a Tarzan movie. I went outside the hotel to smoke a cigarette. They wouldn't let you smoke inside these beautiful marble hotels that the Australian government had. And I was standing on the street smoking a cigarette. Here comes this guy walking up the street, and he's dressed up just like Kamala would have been. He's wearing a Tarzan loincloth. He's got a big grass knife on his right hip. He's carrying a great big spear in his right hand. He's got a bow and arrow over his left shoulder. He's got a great big bone like this through his nose. He's got bones in his nipples. He's got vertebrae in his ears. His face is painted red and yellow. He's got a feather headdress, but it's like a Gilligan's Island feather headdress. And he's walking up to me. They're only about like 5'2", 5'3". And he's walking up to me, and I'm expecting something like, yeah. But he was like, "Pardon me, mate. Can a bum smoke?" I was like, "Wow, you talk better English than I do." So I give him a cigarette and I light a cigarette, and he's walking off. And then a few minutes later, here comes a girl walking down the street with a little waist skirt on, and she's nursing a baby on one breast and a pig on the other. I was like, oh my God. Well, I was doing an autograph signing on that Saturday. And I was, drank a lot of Crown Royal the night, Jack Daniels and everything else the night before. Well, they had me in this little ring, little about 5 by 5, little place to stand with ropes on it. I didn't know why, I just thought it was because of the wrestler. No, it was so people could get to me. Well, I'm signing autographs for about an hour and a half. I go to the restroom, come back and get a Coke, come back. The people picked me up and they carried me out of the sports arena. They got me all the way to the front iron gates. And the Australian Army was our security. They had to come with their transports and everything at the front gates. All of a sudden, here comes everybody running out with shooting guns with rubber bullets. They're beating people back I thought I was the life of the party. Yeah, I was going to be the main course of the party. They got me in a transport, and this major with the Australian Army goes, "Mate, you ever watch Bugs Bunny? Bugs Bunny, yeah." He said, "You know the one with the Ethiopian?" And I was like, "Yeah." He said, "There was a big black pot in your future, mate." He said, "They were going to take me and eat me. That way my spirit would live through them." It's their belief, And I started thinking about it. And then 2 days later, Charlie Norris and I went to the store, like maybe 50 feet from the hotel, when we got to get some water. When we got in there, I mean, it took like 2 minutes, and there were like 3,000 villagers there. It was wild. They have a nut over there called beetle nut, and they eat this beetle nut all day long, and it gives them a cocaine high. And then they go out at night and, shoot, you got a village with about 7 or 8 huts over here and about 15 over here, grass huts like on Gilligan's Island or something. And you'll have one guy come out with a big long knife, and this guy will come out, and they'll go to hacking each other to death. Damnedest thing you ever saw. Me and Charlie, after the matches, when we were walking back from the ring that first night, I catch a shot right in the face. Like, damn, and then boom, another one, and then boom, about 4 or 5. Finally, I cover up, and I take off running. I get to the dressing room, I bust through the door, and we're like, "What is wrong?" They said, "Oh no, they're honoring you." And I said, "What?" He said, "They see you doing that in the ring to pay tribute, to pay honor to you. They're giving it back to you." So I was like, "Well, the next time I come out there, boy, I was honoring the heck out of them folks."
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Oh, yeah. I'm in the ring one night. Action Jackson was my partner. We're in the ring one night against Killer Brooks and Charlie Norris. So my tag team partner was my opponent. So anyway, we're over there. I was sitting there. I got Killer Brooks in a headlock, and there's a commotion going on back there. And I've been in the ring about 15 minutes or so, and reached back to tag because we had to work 2 singles matches and then a tag match. And so I reached back to tag AJ, and he's looking. He goes, "No, stay in there." And I was like, "Come on, man, I got to catch my breath." He goes, "No, stay in there." And I said, and then I hear this pat, shh, pat. I was like, what's going on? And then I look back, and AJ's got his fingers laced on the ring post like this. He's got 1 foot on one side of the apron and 1 foot on the other side. And he's hiding behind the ring post, and he tells me, "Stay in there. You're a smaller target." I told Killer Brooks, I said, "See ya." I let the headlock go and dove up underneath the ring. I sat there for, I don't know, it wasn't about 15 seconds or so, and everybody dropped down. Like, "What are you doing under here?" I said, "It's a lot safer under here." But the natives had busted down like 100 yards of wrought iron fencing along the soccer field, busted that down out of the ground, and had overrun the soccer stadium. They stole the box office, the whole 9 yards. The Australian Army got called off on that. They had these Rottweilers. I kid you not. You could have put a saddle and rode them. They were so big, but they were going out and clamping on people's head, just and dragging them off. They're beating folks with clubs. Oh, I'd never seen anything like it. It was wild.
So, what do you think of today's WWE wrestlers that wrestle only a few times a week and complain about being stuck in their contracts when they have guaranteed and you have to do stuff like that to earn a living?
Well, those guys today, gosh, I don't know. I mean, I don't watch their product because I'm not really impressed. I mean, I'm glad they're getting a break or something that I guess that they so richly, I mean, we were the ones that got screwed back then. These guys are pulling in the money and the ratings and stuff, and they're getting paid for it. So I'm happy for that for them. But no, they never could have handled the schedule. I mean, that's why so many of us back then, had substance abuse problems and everything else. You're burning the candle at both ends. Sooner or later, it's got to stop.
Very true. A fan sent me this picture of you with his son from August 15th, 1985, at the
Oh,
Cincinnati Gardens after you wrestled Buddy Landell, and the fan is Rick Brooks.
well, hey, Rick, man, that's great. That's really nice, man. That's you and your son, right? The son.
Yeah.
How's the son doing now?
If he's
85.
watching, I'll let you know.
Yeah, 85. That's a long time. He's got to be grown up by now.
Yeah, he's probably 40 something now.
Yeah.
Somebody says Buzz Tyler actually passed away last year. You
Oh, I
mentioned
didn't know
him
that. I
earlier.
thought he was out of South Carolina. I'm not for sure.
Ivan would like to know why you parted ways with WWE in the 80s.
I just, they made a lot of promises to me, and they didn't keep them. They told me, "Oh, we're going to give you 3 months off, and then bring you back big and strong, and this, that, and the other." And I was like, "Okay, well, that didn't work." Then they brought me back to do some, I guess, a pay per view in '91, and I did that, and then that was it. I went to WCW because I thought at least there they'd appreciate me, and I like the style of work in there better.
Was your dad an agent back there then?
Back in WCW, I don't know because no, he was still working for Vince when I left Vince. The whole family was still working for Vince. I was the first one to leave.
What was your dad's specialty as an agent? Because it seems like he was always a behind the scenes guy. Was he good at coming up with finishes, or was he just good at keeping the
Well,
wrestlers?
no, I mean the finishes were that was mostly given down or given down from the office. Sometimes you go through, but back then, I mean the guys usually came up. A lot of times they'd come up with their own, or if the office sent something down. The road agents back then, they were basically to make sure that the guys got their money, that the office ran smoothly with the ticket office, that the show went good. They'd have to give reports on the shows, what match was the best match on the card, what got the best crowd reactions. It was like a whole list. I've been there for the phone calls and stuff like that. But it's really a babysitting and a paperwork job.
For sure. And speaking of babysitting, Jared wants to know if you witnessed any of the Bulldogs' ribs in the WWE, because it was pretty bad in those days.
Oh yeah, I saw a lot of them. They were always doing stuff. Yeah, yeah, they were always ribbing.
What was the nastiest rib you ever saw pulled by anybody?
Oh gosh. Um. Huh. Well, I didn't see it, but I heard about it. I think everybody in the wrestling world heard about it. Was when what happened to Sunny in Germany when she went to eat her salad and there was feces on her salad plate.
Yeah, I think X-Pac actually did that to a couple people. But yeah, that's pretty gross.
Yeah, that's that kind of. Yeah, that's far beyond me. Yeah. I mean, my stuff is funny, you
Yeah.
know, and it's going to take you some time and you're going to know you got, you know. It's like I was telling you earlier, I was talking to Karen McDaniel, Wahoo McDaniel's widow the other night. And shout out to Karen and Nolan. I love you guys. I'll see you soon. So anyway, I had known Wahoo since I was a little kid, and boy, he's always been after me for 15 cents. It was a lot of going, a little rib back then. He had given me when I was about 4 or 5 years old. He'd give me 50 cents to go get him a soda pop at the TV station in Oklahoma City. Well, the sodas were 35 cents. Well, I kept his 15 cents, for going and getting it. And I mean, he hounded me about that 15 cent when I was a teenager, when I was picking him up at the airport for watch and driving him to the shots, always about that 15 cents and stuff. So anyway, me and Wahoo, we were friends, and he knew me before I broke in the business. When I got here to the Carolinas, we I rode with him some and everything. I played some ribs, a little ribs on him too. Um, took the best ass whipping, funniest ass whipping in the world from him. Oh, I loved it. Uh, but anyway, Angelo Mosca would play ribs on guys, or Ange was a bully. He really was. I mean, I knew Ange. I've known Ange since I was about 14 or so down in Louisiana. I saw him then. I saw him in Florida and in the Carolinas, and his son was with him. Ange Jr. is a great guy. I loved Ange Jr. to death. So anyway, Ange had pulled a rib on Mark Fleming and put locks on his jeans, and one on Barry Horowitz, put locked on his bag to an iron pole. He had to cut the strap off of that. Then he put some locks on my boots. So I got him back with shaving cream and the whole 9 yards. Oh, he was livid. Oh, he was cussing the whole 9 yards. Oh, it's coming. It'll come out in the story. So anyway, a few nights later, the next week, I'm in Asheville that day, and I'm in the ring, and my match is over and getting ready to get out of the ring. But here comes Wahoo up to the security room, and he's the main event. I jump out of the ring, and it's like, "What is it, Chief?" And he says, "When you get back to the dressing room, don't put your hat on." He said, "Mosca, that asshole, filled it up with water." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I walked back in the dress. I told Wahoo, I said, "Oh, it's beaver fur. It'll be all right." So I walked back in the dressing room, grabbed my hat. We had a double shot to do it. Just dump it out in the sink like that, put it back on the table, start taking my gear off because I got a shower and I'm going to be first or second match in Charlotte. So Chief hollers up and he goes, "Hey kid, is that a beaver fur hat?" I said, "Yes, sir. It's the only kind I like to wear." He said, "I got a hair dryer." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So I'm over there getting my shower and everything. He plugs in the hair dryer right by Mosca and he's blowing the water off my hat onto Mosca. And Mosca was just looking, but he wasn't going to do nothing against Chief. So that night we were working in Charlotte, and but after the match, we were all getting ready to leave the dressing room, and Crockett was back there, and Mosca hollers. He said, because of the hat thing, he said, "I've got 2 weeks left in this territory. If that kid is booked anywhere I'm at," he goes, "I'm gone." Well, that gave me 2 weeks off, so I sat home with nothing. I was living with my grandparents in Marshville, North Carolina, and stuff, just barely surviving. So the last night was Richmond, Virginia. It was a Saturday. Chief called up. My grandmother answered the phone, and she come in, and she said, "Chief Wahoo's on the phone, honey." And I was like, "Oh, well, let me go get it." So I went and got it. And Chief said, "Hey," he said, "tonight's Mosca's last night." And I said, "Yeah, I know." I said, "He's in Richmond." And he said, "Yeah." He said, I'm kind of tired." He goes, "I don't have anybody traveling with me. Would you like to ride?" And I was like, "Yes, sir." I said, "But I got to make some stops first." And he said, "All right." It took me about 45 minutes from Marshville to Charlotte to meet Wahoo, but it took me an hour and a half to get there because I had to load up some stuff. Well, when when we get to the matches, um, Wahoo says, "Okay, I was hiding in Wahoo's Bronco." He said, "Let me go in and see what's going on." And he goes, "I couldn't tell you what's happening." I was like, "Okay." So Wahoo comes back a few minutes later. He goes, "Okay, kid." He said, Moscow got himself moved to third match. So you need to do what you're going to do and get it done. And he said, because he's trying to beat the people out. And he's going to drive all the way back to Toronto tonight. I was like, okay. So I did my thing. Mosca comes out. He's beating the crowd and everything. He comes out. He's got an old Cadillac. Or it wasn't an old Cadillac. It was a new Cadillac from back then. Anyway, so he's getting this stuff. His car's sitting low to the ground. Everything this man owns is in the back of that car. So he comes out. He comes out. He opens his trunk. He throws his wrestling bag on his trunk. It gets his trunk to close. He's got his towel. He opens his car. Now I knew Mosca's. I watch. I study people's body movements and everything else. Mosca always did like my dad did because he's a big guy. When he goes to get in a car, because you're a big guy, can if you're trying to stick one leg in and then sit down and get the other leg in, you'll knock your hip out of joint. So big guys, a chiropractor will tell them to sit down in the seat, then twist and bring both feet in at once. And that's how Mosca got in the car. When that man sat down in his car, he sat down in 75 pounds of horse manure. He went nuts when he realized what it was. He come out of that car, he's spitting and screaming and cussing and fighting there and just hollering and looking all around trying to see. Oh, he's pissed. He was going crazy. So he takes his towel and he cleans his seat out and everything. And he cleans himself off. So he gets back in his car. He's been looking around. He sits in his car. He cranks his car up. When he cranks his car up, he goes to turn the headlights on. He's parked up against the wall, so nothing lights up. I'd spray painted his headlights black. So he gets out of his car and he sees that. Now he's kicking and screaming, fussing and fighting and throwing another fit. Well, it's just, he's from up north, so he's got a little plastic ice scraper. So he gets that and he's scraping. Oh gosh, he's scraped for 10 minutes or so. Trying to get anyway, so he gets it enough because he's trying to beat the people too. So he gets it to where he thinks he can get out of there. When he gets in his car again. This time he's cranked it up. He got the lights on and everything. Drops it in gear, and puts it in gear. He goes through in reverse, and when he does, his tires just start spinning. I had jacked his back axle up and put blocks under the axle and let the car back down, let the air out of both the tires to about 10 pounds. So it looked like they were good. And then poured oil underneath the treads on the tires so they would spin. So now that man has to pull everything he owns out of the trunk of his car and lay it all in the parking lot because a jack is always in the bottom under everything. So he's got to jack his car up and take the blocks out. As soon as he gets that other side jacked up, that's when the matches were over. And in Richmond, we parked in a tunnel, down at the bottom on the ground floor level. So it was a tunnel that came down like this, fishbowl. So when the matches got over, a couple of thousand people coming down here. Here's everything this man owns all over the place. He's chasing around. Oh, he's got a tire iron in his hand. He's spitting. He's fuming. Oh, he's going crazy. So I'm watching all this out of Wahoo's truck. So Wahoo gets showered up and everything. Oh, it was great. So Wahoo gets in the car. And he goes, how'd it go? I said, oh, yeah, you're going to love this story. So as we're leaving, Wahoo drives by. As we get close to Moscow, I went ahead and raised up and I said, see you down the road. And I saw Mosca 4 years later. He shows up to do a TV tape, and he was a color commentator for Vince. And when he walked in the dressing room, he looked at me, he stopped, he goes, ha, 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 ha. We're okay, huh, kid? And I said, all depends on you. Eddie Guerrero gave me the best advice ever. He said, Sam, don't ever be second best. And I try not to.
That's the most elaborate rib I've ever heard.
Oh, you got to make them take, you got to stretch them out. You got to you got to get the pop, boom. Okay. And then when it dies down, then you got to hit it again. It's like the shaving cream that started the thing. Moscow walks in the dressing room, sees a pile of shaving cream on his shower shoes, goes, ha ha, kid got me. He cleans his shoes off. He starts talking about his pro football days up in Canada and everything. I'm out of the dressing room. He goes to get a cigarette out. He hits the cigarette don't come out. He hits it again. It shoots across the ring and sticks to a locker. He goes nuts because now the nicotine is all gone. It's ruined. Then he gets the second pack. It's messed up too. He's pissed. Then he gets his skull, puts that in. Then he finds it's got that wintergreen gel. So his mouth starts foaming. Then he's in the shower getting cleaned up. And when he comes out of the shower, he's talking about his football days again. He goes to run his hand in his pants pocket, the shaving cream, and all his wallet, money, and everything. He goes nuts over the kid again. Has to shower the second time. When he showers the second time, as he's coming back around, and just the things kept popping. And all of a sudden, everything cooled down. When he went to put his shirt on, he come out and he looked like one of those garden gnomes, with the head, the beard, the whole 9 yards, shaving cream. Then he had to ride a 400-mile trip home in his son's T-shirt, one of his extra T-shirts, because Mosca didn't have another 4X or whatever with him. So he's trying to do it in an extra large. Oh, it was great, but you got to make them pop, 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 pop. And just when you think it's over, boom, put them on their knees.
Sounds like you did that for sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, one of the best ones I ever did to my brother was going to the airport with him at 4 a.m. with stupid written across his head. Oh, it was great. But I was there with him until he walked to the bathroom. When he went in the bathroom, I knew he was coming out of there and he was going to be mad. So I hit the front gate of the airport, jumped in the cab, and hauled ass. So 45 minutes later, I came back. So I knew he was gone.
That's funny. Ronaldo wants to know your memories of battling Ric Flair in 1991.
Wow. Wow. Anytime you got in the ring with Flair, you're getting in the ring with the cream of the crop. The man was gracious enough to give me a good match. I mean, I've got nothing but the highest respect. For a long time, I did. For a long time, I guess I was seeing everything through not distorted. Well, yeah, I could say distorted, but I wasn't really putting a whole lot of thought as to the way I viewed people because I wasn't really understanding where they were coming from. Ric Flair did awesome things for my career. He gave me incredible credibility. But, being able to say that I've been in the ring with Mr. Perfect, with Ric Flair, with Eddie Gilbert, with this one, with that, I've been with the superstar Billy Graham. I've been in the ring with the cream of the crop, with the champions of all, the greatest in the world. I've been blessed that way. And Ric Flair was, I did not get to work with him as much as I would have liked to. I think I only had 4 matches with him. But, oh, gosh, I wish I could have been one of those guys that put in the 60 minutes with him because I watched some of the Steamboat and Flair matches and I was commenting on it the other day. Man, their matches were like poetry in motion.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Did you ever get to see his helicopter trick that everyone talks about now?
No, I didn't. Didn't want front row tickets for that show.
Another superstar you wrestled was Steve Austin in WCW. This fan would like to know what that was like and your thoughts on him rumored to be coming back at WrestleMania this year at 57.
Well, I wrestled Steve first for Bill Watts for his organization, and then I wrestled for him again in well, and that was in what '87. I wrestled Steve then, and then I wrestled Steve again in I guess in the '90s when I came back. Steve was great to work with. I always enjoyed. We had great matches together. We gelled. Um, I was always able. I was versatile, I guess, enough to be able to work with any kind of style. I kind of feed off of the other person, I guess.
Jeremy Davis wants to know if there's any chance of Jake putting together a family reunion with you, him, and Rockin' Robin in AEW.
I don't know. They won't. Neither one of them take my calls. I hadn't talked to either one of them in quite a while. I called them and left messages. So, you know, I just pray for them. Wish them. I wish them happiness. That's all I can say. You know.
Yeah, I know how you feel with that type of stuff. Sweet Teabag wants to know how it felt getting pinned by one of the conquistadors in the debut of Terry Taylor. The clothesline looked vicious.
Well, it is what you make of it. You know, to me, just being out there, it doesn't matter win, lose, or draw. I mean, just as long as I'm fulfilling the dream and I'm giving it the best I got. Um, Terry Taylor, sorry we lost, dude. But hey, it just wasn't in the stars that night.
Was he the Red Rooster then?
No, no, no. No, he became the Red Rooster. Well, I don't think he. No, he. I don't think it was the Red Rooster yet, because uh, he had done something. I forget where we were at, but the next night we were in Battle Creek, Michigan. The first night, he had tried. Terry liked to try to help guys and give them advice on their matches and stuff, and that didn't sit real well with the guys that have been in up there and their positions were solidified and stuff. So Terry, I guess, fell prey to the to the hunters out there. Well, anyway, the night before they'd ripped all of his clothes up and changed the combination on his Halliburton bag and the whole whatever. So as he was leaving TV, he goes up and he shows, because he always dressed like a professional and like a respectable athlete. He didn't ever come to the ring or the show in flip flops and shorts and a t-shirt or nothing. He always, presented himself well. And he went up in his business suit with his khaki pants, and he pulls the seat of the pants out to the side of him. He goes, "Look what your talent does." Basically, I guess stooging off. I don't know. So anyway, the next night, that's about that time that movie Dragnet came out with Dan Aykroyd and Tom Hanks. And that one part where they're having the pagan party, well, what I heard was somebody had seen that and had been joking about it. So the next night in Battle Creek, Michigan, Terry rode with me. And as we're walking to the dressing room, Vince says, "Terry, I'd like to see you for a minute." So I'm standing there. I was like, okay. So he's in there talking to Vince, and Vince tells him what he wanted to do. He said, "Oh, I want you to dye a streak in your hair and moose it up. We're going to call you the Red Rooster." And Terry told him he wasn't going to do it. And Vince told him, he said, "Look," he said, "I fulfilled the contract that you signed with me." He goes, "If you want to sit at home for the next 2 years and not make a dime, you can." He goes, "I got a spot on my roster for the Red Rooster. I don't have one for Terry Taylor." Terry come out of that dressing room. He said, "Sam, let's go to the drugstore." And then we went and got the stuff.
He kind of gets a bad rap over the years, I guess, because he was in office positions most of his career, and I think he still is with WWE somewhat. But what do you think that's warranted? The attitude issues he may or may not have had, or do you think he's just misunderstood?
Probably the safest thing to say would be misunderstood. You know, nobody's not like nobody ever sees eye to eye, really. Not it's always like one view's a little bit better than the other, or somebody wants to tweak this or tweak that. So I just say misunderstood because I'm pretty sure everything came from a sincere place in Terry's heart. And he would never do any. I don't think he's the type of person that would ever try to do anything maliciously to hurt anybody. He's in for it to help the business, not to hurt the business. He's a student of the business.
Rick Brooks, who showed the picture earlier, said his son is 41, and he would like to know, in your opinion, who was the best on the mic in the 80s, either a wrestler or manager?
Oh gosh, there's been so many. Cornette was great, and of course, nobody will ever touch Bobby Heenan. I mean, you got to sit there and listen to some of Heenan's stuff, and I mean, you tongue in cheek, you bite your tongue off. But Cornette was great. Yeah, you got to start thinking of Flair was awesome. Arn was pretty good. Um, Ole Anderson always impressed me. Jody Hamilton always impressed me as a mask guy because they didn't get out there and do all the hollering and screaming. They talked. And my brother used to do it, or this was his ideology because my dad was kind of instilled it in us. But it's like you talk so the people will listen. The lower you talk, if they've got to strain to hear you, then they'll make everything else stop. So their attention will be on you.
Here's an interesting question from the 495 Marauder. How was working in the Sam Houston Coliseum in Houston as Sam Houston?
Dude, it was the best. I don't know. It was the people, it was the atmosphere. It was like it was all there for me. Me and Eddie Gilbert had like some of the great. Oh gosh, just it was electric. And Paul Bosch, what a promoter! Paul Bosch came to me after the first time I worked, and he come in and he asked me about my payoff and everything. He went back to the office, got a bunch more money, came back and paid it to me. And he said, from now on, you get your payoff from the Houston wrestling office from me. The guy was awesome. He said, Houston, Texas loves you. And I said, Paul, I said, I love Houston. He let me bring my mom on an interview on Houston Wrestling Interview. Matter of fact, a picture of me and my mom that circulated in some of the wrestling magazines of me two-stepping with my mom was at the Sam Houston Coliseum. It was great.
You definitely were over in Texas overall. There's a fan on here that remembers seeing you against Steve Lombardi in Kingston, Ontario, Canada, not too far from me, and wants to know your opinion on the Brooklyn Brawler.
Well, Steve's done really good for himself. I'm glad for him. He broke in a hard time there was a whole lot of stuff going on, but he survived the years, man. I don't know. I think he got over 20 years with the company, so evidently he was doing something right.
Yeah, he was doing something right. What did you think about those rumors of him and Patterson? And we know they were close friends, but guys like Kamala, who Lombardi was managing Kamala for a while, said that he believed there was more to it than friendship.
I never saw anything with my own eyes.
Someone's asking on here if you have a Miss Elizabeth story to share, or Bam Bam Bigelow, either one of the two.
Oh, Bam Bam. I mean, Sparky. I was the only guy in the business that was allowed to call him Sparky. But yeah, Bam Bam and I. Oh gosh, the first time I'd never seen him. I worked with him in Jackson, Mississippi, and that son of a gun jumped. I mean, grabbed and jumped, leapt over the top rope and landed like the Incredible Hulk in front of me. And then I'm 6'3", 6'4". This man hit me with a drop kick right in the chin, and I was like, wow. But yeah, we used to travel on the road a lot. We always had a good time, just doing nothing, you know. But yeah, Bam Bam was a good dude. I really enjoyed him. Miss Elizabeth, we always, I had Baby Doll coming on the road with me some. So I mean, we always kind of like intermingled, intergelled, and stuff like that, but never too much. I kept it arm's length away, though. So. Um, Liz, I mean, oh gosh, everybody loved and respected her. We all miss her.
For sure. This is another good question by the 495 Marauder. Where did you come up with that dance you did before you wrestled? That was quite something.
Well, oh gosh, I was in a bar one night at a hotel, and boy, I started, and Bill Watts saw it, and he wanted that dance. So, oh gosh, it was in Billy Bob's. And then it just went from there. It was like, and then when I got to work for Vince wanted me to. I danced all the way from the dressing room all the way up at Billy Bob's, and that was a long thing. Well, that wasn't a football arena stuff, like Vince's Coliseums, and he wanted it all the way too. Man, you get blowed up by the time you finish dancing. They're saying your name, you're lifting your hand. I need 3 minutes before I can start. No.
That's hilarious. Stefan wants to know how you came up with the name Sam Houston.
I didn't. Dusty Rhodes. When I was, first of all, I knew I wanted to be a wrestler all my life. When I was 4 years old, I was trying to write my name in cursive. My grandmother asked what I was doing. I said, I'm signing my autograph. When I was in second grade, I started amateur wrestling. I went to a wrestling camp. And then after that, I got to start working out with the high school wrestling coach because my friends, Danny Hodge and Herb Calvert and Jim Shields, and those guys who are AAU and collegiate champions and blah, 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 this, that, and the other, have all the credentials in the world. They're coming to see their little second grade buddy in his wrestling camp. So the coach, Coach Barrett Murphy's like, hey, you can work out with the high school kids. Maybe your friends can show these kids. So anyway, I got to work out and hone my wrestling skills. Well, when I was 17 years old, I had my tonsils taken out, and the doctor they messed up. I died on the table. I was dead for about 2 minutes. They got me back, resuscitated me. Spent 2 weeks in a coma. All kinds of stuff. Didn't eat food that year from April the 1st until August the 13th. Lost over 100 pounds. And when I got out of the hospital, I did everything I could to gain my weight back. When I gained my weight back, I told my dad I worked out with George Weingroff twice in the ring. He stretched me the first time really bad. The second time I had my skills. And George said, he's ready. And then my dad told me I'd have already lost you once. He said, I'm not going to lose you again. So he said, this business is not for you. Well, I talked to Dusty one night in New Orleans. He said, come on down. We said, we'll give you a shot. Well, I just found this part out the other day at the event where I saw JJ. Anyway, I was going to the shows and everything, and Dusty was like talking to me. He said, he goes, what name you want to use? I said, I don't know. I said, I don't want to use my name. And he said, maybe we'll call you Michael Sam Houston. Well, I showed up at events and stuff like that. And, my dad, JJ told me, my dad had called all the promoters and everybody and told them not to give him a shot. And JJ went to Dusty and said, give the kid a shot. He's here. He's always here. Always ready. So Dusty gave me a shot, and I worked with Charlie Cook that night in Tampa, Florida on September 13th, 1983. Mike Sam Houston is what they called me. And a couple of weeks later went by, and Then they quit putting Mike on the program. It was just Sam Houston. So, and then now on Facebook, I'm Michael Sam Houston. And my name soon. We're going through the process now of getting my gun rights back, getting all my everything that was taken from me back, and then my passport, be able to travel overseas again. Um, and then, but just going, one more shot of the room,
Come to Canada so you could wrestle me.
huh?
Get your passport so you could come up to Canada here and wrestle me.
Hey, have you seen Mr. Marvelous? The
No,
dude,
I,
Mr.
I don't even
Marvelous.
know what it is.
He came out to the CACs last year. He wrestles. His name's James. Gosh, I can't remember his, but they call him Mr. Marvelous. He's from uh, Ontario somewhere. I think around Niagara Falls. Um, but the guy, what a shooter this guy is. He was able to stay with me the whole 2 hours. Oh, his name is James. His real name is James Runyon. He's able to stay with me the whole couple of hours at the CACs last year. He was great, and I took him to Lodi's camp when he came down to visit, and boy, they were everybody popped. As soon as he started grabbing, I mean, he went through everybody their way once, and all of a sudden he just turned it on and took over.
Somebody says you were in the first match ever of the Survivor Series in the history of the Survivor Series.
I think I was, yeah. I was a Survivor Series. I was in it all. The very first Royal Rumble. Shoot. Check this out. I held every title in Mid-South Wrestling without ever wrestling for Mid-South.
How is that possible?
I was the timekeeper.
Oh, God. Too much. You're a comedian, too.
Yeah, I was gonna. I've got my Facebook page is Sam Houston Fan Nation, and let me show you this. Okay, this is some of the new T-shirts that we've got out or coming out with. There's this one, and this was in the centerfold of the Toronto Sun back in, I think it was 87 or 89. I'm clotheslining Jose Estrada. It says riding across the sky on the edge of a lightning bolt. And I've been doing that for a long time now. But on Sam Houston Fan Nation, that's where folks can reach me. But anyway, what was your question?
Someone was just saying you were in the first match, but I'll ask only one more question and we'll have you back because there's a lot of other ones we won't get to. But there was a fan that wanted to know if you had any stories about partying with Junkyard Dog.
Oh yeah, gosh, I mean, I was there when I was a little kid for Dog's first matches when he was Sylvester Ritter. Then he went up to Canada and worked, and he was Sweet Daddy Ritter up there. And then he came back down here and he was Junkyard Dog. Well, I was the guy that for TV tapings would have to do the wheelbarrows and this, that, and the other. I took care of his cars, the whole 9 yards. Well, Dog owed me, when we were in on the road up for Vince. You can get a guarantee, or not a guarantee. You can get a draw every night. So, and sometimes your draw wouldn't cover your expenses though. So Dog had borrowed like $400, $460 from me. And, so every time we would go to TV taping, you're getting your paycheck and you get checks, cash. Well, so I go to Dog like 3 times and I ask him, hey, what about that $460? Oh, I'll catch you later. I'll catch you later. Well, we've been friends for a long time, and I know his heart's in the right place, but, who knows what's going on. So after I asked him the 3rd time and he never come back with the money or anything, I started stealing his Bic lighters. So sometimes I get 2 or 3 lighters a day. Dog was really easy to get like that. So all you'd have to do is go in the dressing room, start talking to him. And I smoke cigarettes too. So start talking to him and use my hands a lot. When I'm using my hands, then I would go and get a cigarette out. And then while I'm telling him a story, pat down, I wouldn't have a light. Well, he'd give me his lighter. I'd go ahead and light my cigarette, keep talking with his lighter in my hand, boom, 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 boom. Finish the story, get the lighter in the pocket, and leave. So, and sometimes I get it like a couple of times. Well, we were on the road and we were going to be in Dallas. Well, me and Baby Doll lived in Dallas at the time. So She was going to cook dinner or lunch for us one day, some steaks. So I invite him over to our apartment, and he comes over. And dog, when he gets in, had a 3 level townhouse. So we were on the second level, and Nicholas doing all the cooking and everything. And dog says, "Hey, can I smoke in here?" And I said, "Yeah." So he had a matchbook, a hotel matchbook with one match left in it, and he got his cigarette and he rips it out and he lights up. About that time, Nicola hit the light switch and the ceiling fan put the match out. Oh, that man went crazy. He started in and he threw that paper matchstick in the ashtray, and he looked at me. He goes, "Do you got a light?" I said, "Yeah." So come around here, and I had a bar. Imagine Sam Houston having a bar in his house. So I walk around the bar on the other side, and I had this huge, it was like a pickle jar, probably 2.5 feet tall. I pulled that big pickle jar, put it on the bar, and it's 3/4 of the way full. All of lighters I got from Junkyard Dog. I said, "Get you one." So he reaches in there. He said, "Hey, where'd you get all these lighters at?" And I said, "Dog, you remember that $460 you never paid me?" I said, consider the slate clean."
Hilarious.
Yeah, I stole Ted DiBiase's car one night at the Centraplex in Baton Rouge. I drove a wrecker truck for the gas station, and Ted DiBiase had a Smokey and the Bandit Trans Am. I did all the work on it. So he's walking out the building with 6 cops, and he gets to where his car was supposed to be at, and it's not there. And he freaks out. I was across the street with the lights and everything. I gave him a ride home.
Are you still friends with Ted to this day, even though all
Yeah,
that? Yeah.
matter of fact, I just recently got married, so I've taken my wife to a couple of the events, and she's gotten to meet Ted, Mike Rotundo, and quite a few of the boys, and it's been really sweet. All the guys, are really great with me and stuff, and it just does my heart good. But yeah, I see Teddy. I know there's some trouble there. I'm not trying to get involved or anything like that. I'll pray for the best.
Is there anything else you'd like to plug or remind people of your social media before we
Yeah,
close?
if folks want to get a hold of me for like wrestling events or autograph signings or something like that, please reach out to my manager. His name is Will Knight. He's on my friends list. Devin, if you could like put his contact info up on this afterwards or something, that'd be real cool too. You can put Will's phone number on it, whatever you need to. But you can reach me through Sam Houston Fan Nation. My wife and I, keep a pretty good eye on the fan page. I'm on Michael Sam Houston as my personal page, but I've got almost 5,000 friends. I've got, oh gosh, 4,900 and something friends, but like 1,000 people wait to be friends. So I want to go back and tell everybody, reach out to Sam Houston Fan Nation, and everybody can kind of keep up with me. Just living the dream, and I will be at WrestleCon coming up March the 12th. I will be in Chillicothe, Ohio. I will be wrestling for the PWA. So wherever I'm at, come on out. I swear we'll have a good time.
Very good. And I did put Will's Facebook information there. Anyone that wants to book you. Thanks a lot. We'll have to have you back again to answer the rest of these fan questions.
Sure.
I'll let you close this off, whatever you want to say.
Yeah. Hey, the most important thing to me for y'all, look, I've had a hell of a life, and I'm only here because he allows me to be. Have a personal relationship with your creator, If you're lost, get found. He'll help you get found. You know, um, get real with yourself. Quit just trying to get by. Look deeply into yourself and and stand up for something. Stand up for yourself. Nobody else is going to. You be you, and have a personal relationship with him. That's the most important thing I want. I want to see you in heaven. Y'all take care. Later.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please help me out and like this video, then click the subscribe